Hey everybody, it's Tony with Big T Bariatric, and I'm back at you with another video. Today it is Wednesday, February 15th. I hope you're having a wonderful day so far. If you could do me a huge favor, please hit the subscribe button down below as we press towards 4,000 subscribers. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you very much. Please like this video, leave a comment down below, and let me know what you think. Whether you agree or disagree with my take on this, it doesn't matter. I like having discussions, so I appreciate it either way. So thank you very much. Today what I want to talk about is something a little different. My friend Steve actually sent me this yesterday. He said he came across this website when watching a video, and it's called Fat Self-Care. And as you can imagine, me and my ADHD self, I'm very curious about things. So I went into the Fat Self-Care rabbit hole, and I twirled my way down, and I introduced myself to Anna Chapman. And she actually runs this website, and it's very much about fat positivity and the movement that I talk so much against these days. And so I just wanted to share with you guys what this was all about. And so the website is Fat Self-Care, and it's the first thing I noticed was up here. There's a code for joining a Fat Angel membership called F Diet Culture. So I know right off the bat this is going to be very interesting and worth talking about. So let's dive in here. As I was scrolling through the website, it looks like she sells different products to help overweight people, I guess, such as this belly fold liner variety pack. I guess where you have your stomach folds, it hangs over your belt if you have some sort of liner there protecting yourself. I don't know. In this journal called Fat is Not a Feeling, which I think is very interesting because a lot of them seem to like pull towards their feelings when it comes to things over scientific facts. So when you say fat is not a feeling, what are you trying to say here? I mean, you're trying to identify yourself as a fat person and try to be positive and live a positive life as a fat person. But that positivity is not a feeling? Or are you saying, hey, I'm fat, it's a fact, get over it type thing? I'm guessing that's what they mean. So yeah, she sells different products here. There's a little introduction video. You can watch it yourself. I don't know if the background music is going to get me a copyright, so I'm not going to play it right off the bat. But apparently they have newsletters and everything else. Very, very interesting. And then this is where I found out who ran the website, Anna Chapman, because she has her follow along on Instagram, which we're going to check out here in a second. But I wanted to look back up here at the Fat Liberation little tab here. It talks about what fat liberation is. And apparently fat liberation is a social justice movement rooted in the fact that all people deserve access to care, ethical treatment, and kindness regardless of their size, health, or physical ability. Fat liberation seeks to dismantle the diet culture paradigm to shift into a community care-centered approach to living. Through community care, there is a possibility for collective liberation. Fat liberation was developed by Black, queer, and feminist organizers and seeks to fight anti-fat bias to this day. Fat liberation does not require one to love nor to accept their body to be worthy of care, and believes that all people deserve to have the governments over their own body. So something that really, piqued my interest here is that this line here, fat liberation was developed by Black, queer, and feminist organizers. So that really tells me their whole goal here is to really tap into the other social justice movements that are going on in the country right now. So I can agree that everybody deserves access to care, ethical treatment, and kindness. And so while there's a big paradigm shift in trying to give awareness to Black, queer, and feminism and all these groups, and I have my own feelings and views on them, which I'm not going to share here because I'm not trying to get political. But while it is important to discuss that all people do deserve care and ethical treatment, the whole thing about the fat positivity movement that gets me is that they're trying to say that because you're fat, your doctors should not always be biased against your weight, right? So like in a video we did the other day where, a bigger person who happens to be a black woman is talking to her friend about her weight, and her friend keeps telling her, hey, you're going to die early unless you get some health care, unless you start losing weight, and unless you start taking care of yourself. And she starts rattling off and saying, hey, just because that fat person had a heart attack doesn't mean I will. Just because that fat person got cancer doesn't mean I will. And just really defending herself that she was fat. And so she actually goes to the doctor's office, and her doctor says, hey, your blood pressure is a little high, which is a bad thing for somebody at your age. So she was younger, and because she was overweight, her blood pressure was elevated. And so she asked the doctor, hey, is that a result of my weight? And the doctor said, yeah, of course, it is because of your size. Your blood pressure is higher. And so that really inspired her to decide to get her life in order to lose the weight and get going. And so that was great. But that was in 2008. That was before the fat positivity movement. And so what they're trying to do now is say, that is wrong what the doctor told her. It's wrong to tell somebody that, hey, your blood pressure is a little high because of your weight and you should lose weight. I mean, that's completely different than any other social justice movement that's trying to give access to care and ethical treatment and kindness to other people. Because obesity is different than that. Okay? Obesity is not the same as being black or queer or a woman or anything like that. So why they're trying to attach fat liberation onto these other social justice movements does not make sense to me. You can't help if you were born black or white or whatever. You can't help if you were born with a certain sexual orientation. Like, those things are just a part of who you are, that you were not born, I'm sorry, I'm trying to say this the right way. I'm trying not to get canceled at the same time. Like, you were born a certain way, right? But you're not born to be fat. Fatness is something else completely different. You choose to be fat. You created yourself to be fat. And so what you're doing is you're hitching yourself to all these other movements and trying to make it about a social justice movement, when all the other signs point to being overweight and being obese as a bad thing. Because it is bad. There are societal consequences to it. But to these people, they're trying to change the culture instead of changing themselves. And I'm going to prove it here. So I found I am Anna Chapman. I guess this is her website. And she has all types of products that she sells on her website. And then when I scroll a little down, it has a bunch of these overweight people who offer their own fat self-care tips. And I found some of these very interesting, like this one. Let me click on it here. It pops up. Fat self-care tip. You don't owe anyone an explanation for being fat. You don't have to hide your chronic illness or disability because of your fat. You deserve to live a great life no matter what size you are. You don't have to dress up, wear makeup, or anything else to compensate for being fat. Wear what you want, be who you want to be, live life the way you want. In the end, you'll be so much happier that way. And as somebody who was over 600 pounds at some point, this is utter and complete bullcrap. Because I've said it many, many times, you cannot be obese and be happy. Because you could be younger and be fat, but as long as you're trying to accept yourself and accept your fatness and saying, hey, I'm just going to be happy being who I am, you're incurring all these other problems in your life that are making you miserable. You're unable to get up and do the things that you could do when you're skinnier. You're starting to develop health complications and pain, and your body starts to break down as a result of your size. So the affirmation written here is, my life is for me. I no longer need to hide my pain. My body is worthy, my chronic pain is real, and I don't need to justify that to anybody. Well, your chronic pain is created by your weight. So you're trying to justify your size and trying to change society and saying it's everybody else's fault, but at the same time, you're not realizing that you are heaping that pain onto yourself. And it's only going to get worse, and you're only going to get more miserable as time goes on and as you get older. And you're going to realize that all this crap that you believe now in your earlier years actually is going to destroy your life later on, and you might not even make it to 40 or 50 years old. So the life you're leading is not going to make you happier because you accept yourself as being fat. And I thought this one was funny too. Fat self-care tip: advocate for your personal space. This can look like asking for a table instead of a booth. When flying on a plane, use Southwest to make sure you can get an additional free seat. You deserve to be comfortable, even if it means requesting an armless chair in an old school Broadway theater. Public seating should be available to all of us. Don't be afraid to ask what you need, and if it feels scary, ask for a friend to help advocate for you. My physical needs are not a problem. If a public space doesn't fit me, that is a poorly equipped space, not an issue with my body. Seriously? It's not an issue with your body? It's the public space that's at fault because it doesn't accommodate somebody of a larger size? You really believe that? So, you need to make everybody else as uncomfortable as possible to advocate for your size. You need to have Southwest give you a free airline seat because, you think you deserve it because of your size. You deserve to be comfortable, even if it means putting everybody else out, if it means making everybody else uncomfortable, even if it means trying to create public spaces for you, right? Oh man, this is just ridiculous. My physical needs are not a problem. If a public space doesn't fit me, that's a poorly equipped space. And look at the size of this woman. So apparently this is the woman, some kind of beautiful, who is that large and says everybody needs to accommodate her. Let's look at this one. Don't be afraid to challenge sizeism when and where you encounter it, no matter how scary a notion that is. Same goes for all forms of bigotry you may witness. This will give you what I call a walk-away ability. You'll like yourself more upon reflection, knowing you spoke up. And bonus, you might just educate someone, maybe even lots of someone's. Affirmation: I am powerful. I'm in a constant practice of challenging sizeism and all forms of bigotry, and I can do this no matter how comfortable it may feel. If you feel uncomfortable in your own skin, there's a reason for that. It's not sizeism. That's not a thing. It's not bigotry to say that people who are overweight are harming themselves and harming others. Because as we've seen in many of these clips, it's not just you that's dealing with this. It's everybody else in your space. It's everybody else in your life who has to cater to you and to your desires and to your wants and everything else. You're destroying your family, and you're teaching other younger people that it's okay to be fat, which in the long run is going to lead them to a miserable life. Let's look at this one. Your body with PCOS stops feeling so out of control when we stop trying to control it. If you want to feel at peace in your fat body with PCOS, we have to shift our focus from control to connection. When you notice yourself wanting to control something about it, stop and listen to your body and follow through with what it needs. My body with PCOS does not need to be controlled. My body needs connection and gentle care. Seriously? Michelle McDaniel is a perfect example of this. She is somebody who has PCOS, and she was able to take control of her symptoms through losing weight. So you're trying to tell yourself that even though you have PCOS, it's okay to be fat, even though fatness is making your PCOS symptoms worse. You can control your symptoms by losing weight, by getting healthy. It's ridiculous. Another fat self-care tip. Getting a tattoo can feel really vulnerable, especially for fat folks. That might make you want to put it off getting that dream tattoo, but I promise there are artists who will be delighted to work with you and your plentiful skin canvas. If an artist makes you feel unwelcome, take your money and your skin somewhere else. You deserve respect and beautiful art. Attention, I'm done waiting to get what I want. My body is worthy of adornment and art now. I can choose a tattoo artist who sees the beauty in my fat body. I'm done waiting to get what I want. It seems like that your whole life is about getting whatever you want, and that includes food in whatever quantities that you want to get it in. I mean, these are just stupid. This is dumb. Okay, here's one. Masturbate. Sounds simple, right? It is an act of self-love that you need. Learning what feels best to you. Take your time and explore yourself. Find toys that are... Okay, I'm not gonna... This is gross. I didn't expect to read that one. All right, here's one. Representation matters. Surround yourself with people who look like you, whether in real life or on social media. Find your community that uplifts and inspires you to feel beautiful in a body that you're in, because newsflash, you're gorgeous, babe. Affirmation. I only allow those who honor me and my experience into my inner circle. I no longer shape myself to make others feel more comfortable. It's about making yourself feel comfortable. That's the thing. You're not comfortable in your fat body. You're just not. You wouldn't need fat self-care tips if you felt comfortable in your own body. You wouldn't need to go to fatselfcare.com and buy these belly liners and products to make yourself feel better if you felt comfortable in your own skin. That's just absolutely gross. And so I went to Anna Chapman's Instagram here, and she answers a few questions about romancing your damn self, is what she calls it.
Hi there. So we're in February and I'm noticing there's a lot about Valentine's Day, which is cute. It's cool. But in Fat Self-Care Club, we've been talking a lot about how do we romance ourselves. It's really how do we romance our damn selves, right? So we were talking about wearing makeup and just like putting it on for ourselves. Folks were talking about creating ease in their life, like all of these really sweet ways that we can romance ourselves. I love See's candy, so I bought myself a box of See's candy, and that just felt really sweet to me. Like, you don't need a person to have romance. Like, you get to romance yourself. So,
and that's really the crux of the whole problem here, right? And I talk about it all the time when I do the My 600 Pound Life videos. It's like they're full of themselves. The food is their sex. It's their joy. It's their pleasure. They don't need that other person. That other person is there just to feed them and give them what they ultimately want, which is the pleasure that comes with food. And so in this, she's talking about romancing your damn self by feeding yourself, giving yourself what you want, getting yourself that candy that makes you feel so pleasureful. And the proof of that, as it's around food, is she has several other videos here where she's eating.
Baby got snack, snack, got snack, snack, got snack. Baby got snack, baby got snack, snack, got snack, snack.
So she's eating, but it says romanced myself with this burger from Toki. And another one up here.
we're back with another Romance Your Damn Self snack. So I got myself a Tokyo Sando. I've seen these for a while. And
yeah, so she's talking about romancing her damn self by eating. So that's how you're making love to yourself. That's how you're treating yourself. It's all about food. She's a queer fat self-care coach, fat community care, belly fold liners, fat is not a feeling journal is available, extended fit plus, PDX, whatever that is. This is just absurd to me. That they're so involved in this community and of trying to tell people it's okay to be fat that she doesn't realize the real damage she's doing to people. She thinks it's the diet culture that's causing damage, but it's really people like her who are causing this growing obesity problem in our country. Which, speaking of which, the word obese pathologizes fat bodies. Using obese as a descriptor for fat people is fatphobic and harmful. Stop using it. Fat is not a bad word, but obese is. Obese is just a technical term, a medical term given to people who are of a certain weight. It is no different than fat, but for some reason obese is a bad word to these people. I don't get that either. Like that's stupid. Because somebody is medically termed obese, like that's harmful to them. Like, no, it's a term that lets you know that, hey, you are not in a healthy place right now and you should probably take care of that. So along with that, I found a YouTube video from National or NAFTA, which I forgot what it stands for, but it's National Fat Acceptance, something like that. And apparently there's a Fat Liberation Month, and so they did this webinar series with Anna Chapman talking about fat liberation. So let's watch a little bit of it. I'm not going to watch the whole thing.
So thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Yeah, we got a lot of excitement about, folks were very excited to see you come here and talk about fat self-care. Before we get into some of your practical tips about fat self-care, let's talk about why you started doing this work.
The only fat self-care you should be worried about is taking care of yourself by losing weight and getting healthy. Like, you can't possibly give yourself self-care and romance yourself and love yourself without losing the weight. It's just not possible. Because you're killing yourself, you are harming yourself, and you don't see the danger in what you're doing to yourself and to others.
I first encountered you on social media as more of a fashion presentation. And how did you move from, how does fashion fit in with what you're doing now? And how did you move the needle further to the self-care side, and why?
Yeah, I love this question. So I started really just being playful with social media, and I think fat visibility, fat vanity, like showing people we're out here and we exist is really important. And
we know you exist. You're hard to miss. Like, really. Like, you're trying to shove it in everybody else's faces. Hey, I'm fat. I'm here. I'm going to take up as much space as possible. I'm beautiful. I'm bold. I can be whoever I want to be. And you're the problem. Society needs to change. You're the one who is creating these smaller public spaces, and it's you who needs to expand your seats, and you need to welcome us, and you need to give us the free airline tickets so that we can fit in 2 seats. Like, you don't see it's a problem that you fit in 2 airline seats, and that your health is suffering, and your mental health is suffering because of it.
And then as I started doing more of this work, I started getting into really interesting conversations with my fat community, where
it's a community. I mean, much like I'm building a community here of people who are trying to lose weight and get healthy, for her, it's about self-empowering herself. It's about living a lifestyle and finding people who agree with you, who will surround you and say, hey, it's okay to be fat. You don't need to change. You don't need to lose weight. You don't need to get healthy. You're beautiful how you are. You need to just accept yourself.
Noticed, like, we were kind of like sharing different tips and tricks and things around hygiene, around travel, around just many other things outside of just fashion that I thought were really important. And so then also being in the wellness space and not...
Yeah, it's no such thing as fat positivity and wellness. Like, if you really care about wellness, your focus is going to be on diet and weight loss. So for her, she just saw dollar signs in her eyes, like, cha-ching, I saw I can make money from fat people by creating this wellness space that does not involve losing weight.
Seeing anyone fat in that space and realizing, like, how connected the wellness space is to, like, capitalism and diet culture, and like how there is yet another space.
Yeah, the evil capitalism and how it's connected to diet culture. And she acts like she herself is not getting involved in capitalism by selling all these wellness products, so-called wellness products, to fat people while she's making a buck.
Where we are not invited. And I thought that
you are invited. Just decide you want to lose weight and get healthy.
I was not interested in that. And so my content really started to change as I realized we need more. And the experience of being fat is so much more dimensional and multifaceted than getting our bodies into clothes, even though that part is really important. I think fat fashion is very political, because
instead of changing yourself to fit into better clothes, you're going to create bigger clothes for fatter people.
As we've seen with these small indie brands, it's not hard or impossible to make super fat and infinite fat fashion, but it is really difficult to challenge internalized fat phobia within the fashion industry, and for people to...
There's not fat phobia within the fashion industry. I mean, it's like, well, yeah, I've talked about how some clothes, if I go to king size to get clothes for myself, it's going to cost me $50 for sure. You know, is that fat phobia? No, they're making money off of fat people because it costs more fabric and more time to make clothes for bigger people, but that's just the way it is. I don't consider that fat phobia. They're a capitalist business that makes money off of fat people. And she's no different, but she pretends like she is. She's acting from this, attitude of moral superiority because she's not a capitalist, and she's creating all these open and fat spaces for fat people and not realizing that she herself is a capitalist making money off fat people, just like king size, just like the companies that she's going against and saying are fat phobic.
To really acknowledge that, I think they go hand in hand. So it was like, I still love fashion. That is part of my fat self-care. It's part of my liberation. It's how I found that I could really express myself in whatever way I wanted. And so that part was really like, oh, I'm never not doing that. But then once I got into questions around, people started asking me questions around like wiping and bathing and...
all things that you can't do as well when you're bigger. I mean, we saw the one My 600 Pound Life from somebody who was not able to wipe themselves for 7 years until she got a boyfriend to do it for her. I mean, that's a problem that you see that you need to solve. But instead of saying, hey, if you can't wipe yourself, that's a problem that you should solve by losing weight. Instead of saying that, it's saying, your fat's not a problem. Let's create tools to help you be able to wipe yourself, even though you can't reach because you're so fat. I mean, just the absolute ridiculousness of this.
How we get in our nooks and crannies. And I was like, yeah, how do we do that? Because I've been Googling it. Mm-hmm. And like, why aren't we talking about it? So I just started sharing things that I was running into every day that I was like, did you know this?
Yeah, because you keep running into all these problems and obstacles and barriers to your obesity. But again, you're trying to change society and everything else instead of changing yourself. But you're not going to be able to overcome all these obstacles to your obesity. You're not going to do that. There are consequences for being overweight, societal consequences, physical consequences. Your healthcare is going to suffer severely. There's no such thing as wellness and obesity. You can't put the two together until you start talking about weight loss and losing weight to get healthy. That's why this is so dangerous. I'm going to stop it right here, but that's why Anna Chapman and this whole movement is so dangerous. Because they're making it easier for you to be fat, easier to accept yourself as a fat person, without talking about any of the consequences and any of the dangers of that. So, anyways, I'm going to leave it right here. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Leave a like, subscribe to my videos. I really appreciate you very much, even if you disagree with me on this. But anyways, I hope you have a great rest of your day. God bless you.